What's up guys, my name is ESO and welcome back to another Skyrim lore video. I'm actually really excited to show this one to you because I've worked really hard on it and I really hope you guys enjoy it. You'll definitely especially love this one if you've played previous Elder Scrolls games. In this video guys, I am going to be talking about the Elder Scroll that predicted the end of the world, also known as the prophecy of the Dragonborn. I'll read you the prophecy in a moment, but first let me explain that this is literally one of the most interesting pieces of lore in the Elder Scrolls series, because it actually links all the events of the previous games that led up to Skyrim all together. In this video, I'm basically going to be summarizing all the events, all the main pivotal events that happened in the previous Elder Scrolls games and how they fulfilled the Dragonborn prophecy. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. The Dragonborn prophecy is also depicted upon Alduin's Wall, found here within Cloud Ruler Temple in Skyrim. I shall be using the carvings to help tell the story of the Elder Scrolls prediction that came to be. Our story begins with the Book of the Dragonborn, which tells us of the origin of the term Dragonborn. The book recalls the legend of Akatosh, the dragon god of time. Akatosh took pity upon the plights of men, and so blessed Empress Alesia with his dragon blood and the Amulet of Kings. And so the first Dragonborn was created, and so begun the dragon bloodline. Now you know the origin of the word Dragonborn. Let's take a look at the actual prophecy of the Dragonborn, which has been translated from an Elder Scroll to this book. When misrule takes its place at the eight corners of the world, when the brass tower walks and time is reshaped, when the thrice blessed fail and the red tower trembles, when the Dragonborn ruler loses his throne and the white tower falls, when the snow tower lies sundered, kingless, bleeding, the World Eater wakes, and the wheel turns upon the last Dragonborn. We will discuss this passage and how each line actually relates to an event in Tamriel's history in a moment. But first, let's take a look at Alduin's Wall. The carvings at first depict the Dragon War. This event actually occurred in the Mythic era, which was before people even started recording history itself. Yet the story lies here in the stone. It shows us that the dragons were ravaging the land, waging war against the races of men, and terrorizing them with the might of their voices. The humans could not stand against such a force. Some among them would actually come to worship the dragons, whether out of fear or awe of their power. 'Twas not clear, but this is basically how we started getting dragon priests, though I'm not going to go into detail in that subject right now. Also notice that depicted on the wall here is actually Alduin, the World Eater, who was back then the most powerful of dragons. In the heart of the wall, moving on, we have the story of Alduin's banishment. It was in fact the goddess Kine, who is the goddess of storms, who took pity on mortal man and so intervened by granting mortals the ability to speak as dragons do. The large central relief of the wall portrays Alduin's initial downfall and tenacity of the champions of men. Three ancient Nordic heroes who were the first and mightiest of the dragon tongue: Feldir the Old, Harkon One-Eye, and Gormlaith Golden Hilt, who used the combined power of their thumb and the Elder Scroll to shout Alduin from the world and cast him adrift in the currents of time. In fact, if one looks in the Dragon Elder Scroll found within Skyrim, you can relive the events of this time that occurred at the throat of the world, creating a time womb in the sky.
Today, Alduin's lordship will be restored. But I honor your courage, Kriegwolf Akrin. Die now in vain. For Skyrim!
done. A glorious day, is it not?
Have you no thought beyond the blooding of your blade?
What else is there?
Battle below goes ill. If Alduin does not rise to our challenge, I fear all may be lost.
You worry too much, brother. Victory will be ours.
Why does Alduin hang back? We've staked everything on this plan of yours, old man.
He will come. He cannot ignore our defiance. And why should he fear us, even now?
We blooded him well. 4 of his kin have fallen to my blade alone this day.
But none have yet stood against Alduin himself. Govdor, Sori, Birka.
They did not have Dragonrend. Once we bring him down, I promise, I will have his head.
You do not understand. Alduin cannot be slain like a lesser dragon. He is beyond our strength. Which is why I brought the Elder Scroll.
Feldir, we agreed not to use it.
I never agreed. And if you are right, I will not need it.
We will deal with Alduin ourselves. Here and now.
We shall see soon enough. Alduin approaches.
So be it.
Tarudis Ani Him Hind Paliv Zuu Hindan.
Let those that watch from Sovngarde envy us this day.
Mivaring Jur, what have you done? What twisted worlds have you created? Tarudis Parthenos, my teeth to his neck. But first, dear Kumar, you will die in terror, knowing your final fate. To feed my power when I come for you in Sovngarde.
If I die today, it will not be in terror. You feel fear for the first time, Worm. I see it in your eyes. Skyrim will be free!
Damn you! It's no use.
Hold Alduin on the wing! Sister Hawk, grant us your sacred breath to make this contract heard. Begone, World Eater! By words with older bones than your own, we break your perch on this age and send you out! You are banished! We shout you out from all our endings unto the last! You are banished!
So now, the right side of the wall narrates the return of Alduin to power, as foretold in the Dragonborn prophecy. If we reference the first line, when misrule takes its place at the 8 corners of the world, this actually refers to the events of the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, where the Staff of Chaos is divided into 8 pieces and scattered all across Tamriel. And if you look closely at the carving, the Staff of Chaos is actually represented, shattered into those 8 pieces. For those of you that don't know, the Staff of Chaos was a powerful relic that could open gateways into other worlds and obliterate all living beings. The Imperial Battle Mage, Jacobsen, used this mysterious artifact to imprison Emperor Uriel Septim VII within the realm of Oblivion, after which he broke it into 8 pieces and scattered them across Tamriel. These events were transcribed into Alduin's Wall centuries before they had come to pass, as foretold by the Elder Scroll. Next, things get even stranger, because the next line of the prophecy reads as follows: when the brass tower walks, and time is reshaped. And then we can see here, in the stonework, the figure of Numidium, the Brass Tower. Walking upon Tamriel is the second event in the prophecy that urges Alduin's return. The massive brass golem Numidium was reassembled during the events of the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall. The game actually had many endings, and these branching choices that would determine who would control Numidium resulted in the Warp of the West, a strange occurrence within the Illic Bay region which actually paradoxically allowed all possible outcomes to happen simultaneously. And because this is basically impossible, the events dramatically altered the nature of the world, and they brought about a dragon break, an unexplainable occurrence that forces a realignment of time and space in reaction to circumstances which render a normal continuity of reality impossible. In this case, the activation of Numidium. As the prophecy reads, the brass tower walks and time is reshaped. So put simply, because that sounded really confusing when I listened back to it, several things cannot happen at once, so time had to be reshaped in order to correct it. And then of course we have the next line in the prophecy. When the thrice blessed fail, and the red tower trembles. This particular part of the prophecy refers to the events that occur in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind. The failure of the thrice blessed foretells the fate that would befall the Dunmeri Tribunal at the hands of Nuraverin. If you played Morrowind, you'll know that the Tribunal consisted of 3 Dunmer gods, Vivec, Almalexia and Sothasil, who acquired their immortality and powers through the Heart of Lorkhan. They lost their immortality after the enchantments on the heart were destroyed by Nuraverin. These events led to the destruction of the Ministry of Truth, and the Ministry of Truth was effectively a large meteor sent to destroy Vivec City in Morrowind by the mad god Sheogorath. But the god Vivec actually stopped the comet before it hit and suspended it there in mid-air above the city of Vivec. Vivec decided to keep this massive comet above the city so that if the people of Vivec ever stopped loving him, the meteor would descend on them and destroy them all. What a complete savage. Vivec actually did eventually abandon the city around the end of the Third Era. At this time, as you would imagine, the comet became unstable. It was actually 2 Dunmer, Sul and Voihan, who made a pact with the Daedric prince Clavicus Vile. And Clavicus Vile is best known for his granting of mortal wishes, but also his trickery. Together, they formed a device known as the Ingenium. This would keep the comet afloat above Vivec City. If you've ever read the book called The Infernal City, yes that's right, the Elder Scrolls has gone beyond just a video game series now, it's actually a book as well. But anyway, in this book, it describes the floating city and how the Ingenium was powered by souls that kept it afloat. At the beginning, prisoners and lesser men were sacrificed for their souls to keep the comet afloat, but eventually innocent people were sacrificed as well because they just ran out of prisoners. And then by the 4th Era, Sol, one of the original creators, his lover was actually due to be sacrificed. So of course he attempted to save her from the Ingenium, but he actually destroyed it in the process. This caused the comet to crash down upon the city of Vivec and completely destroyed it, creating an area now known as the Scathing Bay. The vibrations from the crash caused the Red Mountain to erupt, beginning the Red Year. And as you can see, the Red Mountain is in fact still erupting to this day, covering the island of Solstheim in ash. In fact, many of Morrowind's residents had to leave the area. So this concludes this line of the prophecy. When the thrice blessed fail and the red tower trembles. The next line of the prophecy goes like this. When the Dragonborn ruler loses his throne and the white tower falls. As I said at the start of the video, all the Septim Emperors are in fact Dragonborn. So this line of the prophecy explains the events that occurred in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. At the start of the game, Uriel Septim, the current Emperor, is assassinated by the Mythic Dawn cult, obviously resulting in the Dragonborn ruler losing his throne. In the conclusion of the main questline, Martin Septim, who is Uriel Septim's lost heir, sacrifices himself to prevent the Emperor's annihilation at the hands of Mehrunes Dagon, the Daedric Prince of Destruction. Martin Septim, in his sacrifice, inevitably brought about the demise of the Tiber Septim's dragon bloodline, ending the historic rule of the Dragonborn emperors over Tamriel. This is also one of the main occurrences that probably led to the crumbling empire. But the next part of the same line reads, "and the White Tower falls." A lot of people think this relates to the Daedric Prince Dagon and when he invaded the Imperial City. But I actually think it predicts the capturing and the sacking of the White Gold Tower after the siege of the Imperial City during the Great War between the Aldmeri Dominion and the Empire in the 4th Era. We can see the White Imperial Tower here above the Oblivion Gate to represent the Oblivion Crisis here on the wall, and obviously the invasion of the Aldmeri Dominion. Next we get to the Civil War in Skyrim, something we're all definitely familiar with. Once again, prophesied by the transcribe. The prophecy reads that the Snow Tower lies sundered, kingless, bleeding. This refers, of course, to the current events in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The Snow Tower may refer to the time wound on the throat of the world at the tallest snowy peak of Skyrim, or it could just refer to Skyrim itself because obviously the whole area is covered in snow. The word sundered means kingless. Because Skyrim obviously has no king, it's in a civil war currently. After the High King Torug is killed by Ulfric, the province is essentially bleeding. It's all depicted here on Alduin's Wall. The civil war is raging. It is here that the prophecy ultimately concludes in the final line. The World Eater wakes, and the wheel turns upon the last Dragonborn. This refers to Alduin, the World Eater, the most powerful of dragons. And then you, the protagonist, the final Dragonborn, the only hope to defeat him. Obviously the prophecy is left open-ended, with no definitive ending. That's up to you to decide. However, Alduin's Wall goes on to depict the slash that represents the time wound at the throat of the world. It's depicted as a cleft in half, suggesting that Skyrim will tear itself apart. But then here we have hope. As the prophecy suggested, the wheel turns upon the Dragonborn. And here you are depicted in ancient blade armour adjacent to the original members of the Dragon Guard, bowing before you. And that is the end of the story of the Elder Scrolls Dragonborn prophecy. And here at the end we have the last Dragonborn standing against Alduin, the World Eater. And that, my friends, to me, is one of the most conclusive pieces of lore in Skyrim. In the Elder Scrolls history, in fact. If you found this video interesting, I've got a whole playlist on different lore videos in Skyrim that you can check out down below in the description. If you also want to go that extra mile, guys, you can support me on Patreon, which is also linked below in the description. I really do appreciate having a consistent source of income. I've really found over the last few months since YouTube has made these changes that you've probably already heard about from other creators, my income has really just been fluctuating up and down. It's getting a bit worrying, to the point where I don't understand how stable YouTube is as a job anymore. It's weird because the channel right now is doing better than ever. It's getting more views, more subscribers every month. It's getting bigger and bigger, like at 1 million subscribers almost. Everything's going so well. But yet my income is at its lowest it's ever been in a very long time. And now I'm doing this full time and I've quit architecture. It just makes me wonder where that leaves me. I mean, sometimes I might upload a Fallout video and that will generate more income than a Skyrim video, and I'm like, well, why is that? They've got the same amount of views. And now I know that YouTube are planning to remove the unskippable video ads, which is obviously great for you guys, you don't have to watch them. But for me, those unskippable ads are like one of my main sources of income. And I'm sorry if this is turning into a bit of a rant, because I mean, it's just something I worry about. I think you are going to see a few sponsored videos over the coming months, and I'm going to try and spread them apart, but I'm going to have to do that as a way of keeping myself afloat. I don't want I don't want to have to do a certain type of content that agrees with YouTube just because that's the way the platform's heading. I want to maintain creative freedom. That's so important to me. So obviously Patreon is a way I can do that. So I really appreciate it when you guys support me on it. It's really important. But you know, don't worry, I've saved up from when my channel was doing well, and you know, I'm not losing money. I don't know what the future holds, and that's just a little bit scary. And usually I don't like to talk about this kind of stuff. I'm a very positive person. I just like to get on with things and make, you know, when things started going a bit worse, I'd like, okay, I'll make more content. I like made a second channel, and literally I've been uploading a video a day between these two channels, and things have, you know, I'm working so hard, but things are just, like, income-wise, it's not getting better. It's quite demotivating, to be honest. Yeah, so it might be that I have to do some sponsored videos, and I apologise for that. Obviously, you don't have to watch them. You can skip past them and stuff, but obviously if you do watch them, it really supports me because it looks good for other advertisers who want to come and help me out. But taking the income aspect from advertising on YouTube into my own hands by working on a one-on-one basis with advertisers, so maybe that's what I've got to do now. I mean, I know YouTube have literally just released this thing now where you can watch movies on YouTube, and you know, you can like download and pay for them and stuff, and I'm like, well, where's this platform heading? It used to be about creators and us just making content for lots of people, like amateur content, I guess, for you guys to watch. And now there's like, it's almost turning into like Netflix in a sense. Obviously I know that's not gonna happen, but it's just, it confuses me. I'm just like, where am I at? What's gonna happen? Yeah, I'm sorry to put this at the end of the video, but it's just something I wanted to get off my chest and tell you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.